My name is Rita Kopp. I am the chair of the Master of Education in Adult Education program. I have a history in this institution. I used to be the dean of the faculty, but as I'm getting older, I'm trying to lose some of my responsibilities. But I still have contact with lots of students and alumni. So one of them is Patricia Regier, who is a learning experience designer and founder of Regier Educational Services. And well, she was one of my students and I supported her in the capstone. I can say lots of things about her, but I think it's better to hand it over to her as she can introduce herself much better than I can. So she will do a presentation and you can ask questions or include questions in the chat room, and depending on the flow of this session, we will ask the questions there and then, or we will wait till she has finished her presentation and then have some time for that. We hope for it to be around an hour session, just so you have an idea of the time. And I'd like to hand over to Patricia now. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. It was such a pleasure to work with you, Dr. Kopp, when I was a student, and to work on the capstone project with you as well. And thank you for that warm welcome. Thank you to everyone that is joining us today, whether you're watching this live in Zoom or on the live stream in YouTube, or if you're going to watch the recording later. Welcome here, and thank you for that introduction. My name is Patricia Regier, as Rita said, from Regier Educational Services. I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to be sharing a PowerPoint presentation, but I definitely want you to be able to see both myself and the slide deck. So if you have the opportunity to change and adjust your view up at the top, you can pick side by side, and that's always a great view. And I'm also going to make sure that, even though Rita's going to be taking a look at our chat box, I'm going to make sure that I have that open as well. So thank you and welcome, and hopefully you're able to set up that viewing side by side. And for our Yorkville University Master of Education with Adult Education program presentation, you're welcome to take screenshots and share them on social media. If you could please tag me on Instagram and Twitter, I am at Leader Inspired, or you can find me on YouTube, Patricia Regier, and all the different platforms as well. So a warm welcome. I'm thrilled that you're all joining us today. We are going to talk a little bit, I'm going to share about my journey from Master of Adult Education to entrepreneur and what that looked like fairly quickly. And then talk a little bit about participant engagement and demonstrate that through this presentation, learning experience opportunity as well. I'll touch on and practice what I talk about and do, and leave room for context of pivots, some real honest thoughts, and completely welcome your questions too. So what I'm going to ask you to do right now, because I really do like to include engagement, so even though we're on Zoom webinar platform, I want you on the screen to be pointing at what you see and pick any square, but not the middle, getting work done. So not the middle, but pick any other square that you're going to start with and point to. And then I want you to move vertically up or down to the first square with no star. So you do that. Then I want you to move horizontally, which is left or right, to the first star with a star. Then I want you to move diagonally to the first star, or first square with no star. So diagonally to the first square with no star. And then you're going to move vertically again, up or down, to the first square with a star. I'm going to ask you to type in the chat box where you ended up. What did that square say? as well. And I'm going to see if I can see the chat box too. Okay, so you're welcome to type that as well. And now, if this works correctly, if I'm speaking slow enough, and what would be ideal is if you visually saw the instructions in front of you. That's the tricky thing online. We try to do the best, but for most of you, you did get the, make sure this comes up, great learning experiences. And that's what we want, no matter what we're doing, online or in person, but certainly right now, the majority of what we're doing. And thank you for typing in the chat box. So that is an example of an icebreaker. It is possible to do that online, and you'll hear more about what I do as well. So as all of you, I went back to school, I guess it was around 5 or 4 years ago. I graduated in 2015 with a Master of Adult Education, and here's my grad photo with Dr. Kopp. And this is just a quote, "Be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire." So like all of you, taking that giant step of courage to get to go back to school online. So I have completed that as well, and that journey. And then I continued working full-time, going to school full-time for the years to get my Master of Adult Education, and then stayed in my director position for a couple years before I decided to leave that opportunity. And normally I wouldn't leave a job before having another job lined up. So that was a huge leap of courage for me but it was time, and I was ready for the next chapter in my life. So then I went solo backpacking and traveling for the first time in Europe, for the first time backpacking, solo trip, staying in hostels for 3 weeks. It was an incredible way to change chapters in my life and to get ready for what was next, because I wasn't sure. Was I going to come back and keep looking for jobs? So it was just a fantastic way I had been working in nonprofit for 20 years to get ready for what was next. And there's so many stories. It was quite an adventure. So that was just a little clip of video creation. And when I came back, my husband and I and my daughters, we talked about what was next. Was I going to keep looking for a different job? I went back to school to do something more and decided to start my own business, Regier Educational Services. So some of what I talk about are principles of working and leading online, or learning online, that everyone feels supported and connected, that we build community. And you experience this here at Yorkville, because it was my prime example of what online learning could be like, and facilitate motivation. So whether we're working with clients or employees, team members, and I share about tips for success on learning platforms, using multimedia, starting with great equipment if that's an option, and for a mic or a camera, but people can start and use what they have. So I give information about that. I talk about the communication online is different, and what is needed for really engaging our audience. Even just having an energy level, not talking in monotone, and especially on camera and online, that's an important element as well. And when I'm creating videos, whether it's for my YouTube channel or online courses or a replay for a presentation like this, I'm considering too what is needed for that recording or that view or experience too. So I like to do things live. And oh, okay, that's good to know that you're getting to see my notes. And, you know, I will be honest, this is the first time. Here we go. Does that make a difference? Do you now see just the full slide? And I will see about, if I can grab the chat as well. So this is just like when I'm learning and doing things, and I encourage people to go out there and try new things. This is the first time I'm doing a presentation with 2 monitors. And learning, no matter how much prep you do, when you're doing it the first time, you don't know exactly how it's going to turn out. And the beauty of what I do is I like to share what I'm learning and encourage people to stretch their comfort zones in that way. So if you want to, I'm not now seeing the chat, so you can definitely unmute Rita anytime and pipe in, or Erin to let me know, but hopefully you're seeing the full slide at this point, because that's a better viewing experience. So this is what I do, and online it's very different too, that you get to see, you know, usually when we have a presentation, and I like to use Zoom meeting as the platform, because then I can see everybody, and it's a different, there's different interactive elements like breakout rooms and things like that. I know Zoom webinar has that too, but it's online. Eye contact is different. So if we are seeing everybody in our Zoom platform, sometimes we're checking our hair, if I see myself, or you're seeing, when you're looking at people in person, we make eye contact, we check out the body language, that's part of communication. Online, our eye contact online is looking directly at the camera, especially for that viewer experience or that replay recording. And so it's tips and information like that that I help people with as well. I share about different platforms like Zoom or PowerPoint or Canva, the tools to create the learning experiences and resources as well. So I'm going to share a poll too, actually. We'll go back to this, and I'm going to share a poll for you to answer what helps you stay engaged online. And it's multiple choice, so you can, perfect, it's full slide. I can see the chat now. This is good. And thank you. So you can pick more than one answer and let me know what you prefer when you're learning online, what helps you stay engaged. And what I'm going to do too is I will end the polling in a moment and share those results so you can see them. One thing to note for anyone that's using Zoom as a platform for the recording, it doesn't record the poll. Even if when you're showing it to all the viewers, it doesn't capture that in the recording. So what I do, you can take a screenshot when I share it, or sometimes just taking a picture as well. So I'm gonna, about 81% of you have voted right now, about 18 out of the 22, and I'm gonna end the polling and share what the results are. I'm gonna read those out loud so that you can also hear about them and it can stay in the recording too. So I'll end the polling right away. But right now we are looking at breakout rooms. A lot of people, 28% like those. Chat box, 72%. A lot of you really enjoy that option. Polls, 22%. Visuals and videos you like, 83%. Stories and examples, 56%. Large group discussion, 17%. Fun activities, 44% of you, and extra resources and downloads and options, 39%. So I'm going to end the polling and I'm going to share the results so you can visually see that as well. So, and then I'll stop the results in a moment and move on. But it's great to have options like this. And as facilitators, it's different in person. if that's what we do a lot of times, there's that interaction. And when we're on certain platforms, especially the webinar setup, we can't always directly interact. So we have to be very intentional on setting up these opportunities. So I'm going to stop share results and cross those out as well, and we'll move on to. So thank you for participating in that. You are still welcome to put questions in the chat box as we go along, and we'll have opportunity at the end as well. And we will continue here. So whether you yourself, you are all coming from different workplace situations and contexts, when you're going to school, if you are working or if you're not working, and whether we're reaching out to family, friends, our community, or if we have clients, our participants in learning activities, our learners and students, and supporting and motivating employees, there's a variety of ways we can do that online. So, and those can be little learning experiences. This little video in the corner, I made that through Canva. So you can have challenges, draws, activities. There's different social media options, going on lives. IGTV is Instagram TV, and sharing good news messages, sharing stories, and getting creative, trying new multimedia ways. I do a lot of instructional videos, step-by-step guides through screen recordings. You can use hashtag cat coworker, have fun. And I always make sure if I am taking a picture on my desk that everything's blurred out if I'm working on things. Another topic that I share about through my business and through the work that I do is about bite-sized learning. So there was a Disrupt HR presentation that I gave not that long ago using the acronym BITE, which is best content, interesting visuals, timely access for whoever you're trying to share information along the way, an engaging experience. So using variety is a lot of what I talk about, and it does increase that knowledge retention as well when we are getting bite-sized, smaller chunks of information and what we're learning as well. And a lot of what I talk about too, and that I really promote, is creating engaging experiences so they're not boring. Whether it's a meeting, a presentation, even health and safety can be made engaging, or a policy option. So adding variety to reach and engage a variety of participants, to inspire, to teach, and as you all know, Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences, I've created a quiz. I asked Howard Gardner, so it's not an endorsed, but I want to communicate and go beyond the referencing and make sure that this quiz I created is to help people understand what lights them up, to make it very accessible, because not everybody has gone back to school for a Master of Education. And this quiz is to help inform and learn. So all the tools and resources at the end are in the style that people prefer to learn, to just stretch to, because often as facilitators and instructors, we get used to the way maybe we like to receive information or the way we always do it. So I always encourage people to add a little bit of something else. So when people join my email list, they get this resource. It's a 2-page engagement and tech ideas and tips and lots of resources, whether it's on my website or in YouTube videos, to help people really learn and stretch what they're doing. This quote too, because definitely this path, this journey between getting my master's to then leaving a job and starting a business, not everything worked out perfectly. It's been, there was a lot of great advice. I went to small business, starting business information, and it's a journey. So I like this quote by Joanne Hamilton Vale too, that she's equally inspired by those who come in last place because they keep pushing. So being an entrepreneur, it's a long-term situation between getting revenue right off the start to pay for the business before it becomes an income. So there's risk, there's a lot of courage and tenacity for building a business. And the journey for me to find out what was going to be my niche took me a little bit longer to what I needed to settle in and discover. So my challenge to you is to try something new when you're learning. I mean, definitely we're all learners or lifelong learners going back to school and building a business. I've been constantly learning. I remember when I've been speaking and creating training materials for 20 years and speaking in front of people. That was no problem. Hundreds, 1,000 people, no problem. But when I first started going on camera, that I was awkward. And I think part of the learning and the growth is while we're doing it. Sometimes we can't practice enough. It has to be while we're doing it that we truly grow.
What types of clients have you worked with, and what types of online learning projects do you specialize in?
Oh, great question. So I work with a variety. If people are entrepreneurs, speakers, nonprofits, leaders, business owners, it really is a range of who I serve, because what is in common is that people are giving presentations, they're offering or creating training. So it could be from a business, or it could be a nonprofit training their employees, clients, volunteers. And online projects, do I specialize in? I do create on my own online e-courses, but what I specialize in is helping people host and facilitate their online learning experience or event. So whether they're using Zoom, for example, for the first time as a leader, and they're wanting to know how to engage their participants, their audience, and learn the tools, how to set everything up, so I can support that whole process, everything from the whole learning experience, from communicating to how logging in, when things can go wrong. That's the beauty of things going wrong. We learn it a lot so that we can help people not go through those things as well. So I help people update their PowerPoint slides as well, or help them with their speaking and training resources, and offer workshops and consulting, individual training. No, I'm not sharing. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put it in the chat box. Oh, you can't see my chat box. So I'm going to, I'll share it again.
You can see the chat box, but so if you...
Yeah, I don't think everybody else can see the chat box to be able to put a link in there. So I'm going to turn that off, and then slideshow from current slide. And oh, there we go. Now you can see what we want you to see. And I'm going to tell you how I did that. I have two screens right now, first time using two screens. That's not why we had the other issues, but the up at the top where it said display settings, I swapped the presenter view with a slideshow, so that what I'm looking at with the camera is what you're seeing, the full screen slide. So that makes it a little bit easier for you to take a picture or a screenshot. And how you take a screenshot is you press the button print screen, and that kind of takes a copy. And then when you're in a Word document or PowerPoint or somewhere else, you can paste it. Or take your phone out and take a picture as well. And then feel free to continue questions. I'm going to open that up as well. And okay, perfect. And you're welcome. So please, any other questions you have, I'm prepared to say, you know, mistakes or things I would do differently, or what dreams I still have for my business or for me personally or professionally. Feel free to ask questions. We've got about 10 to 12-ish minutes still open, so that we make sure that we end before the end of the hour as well. So any other questions? Or Rita, do you have any questions for me
Could you
too?
include your email address in the chat panel, because I can't see it on the screen. So the others probably
Okay,
can't
you know
see it
what?
either.
I will do that. There we go. And that's my email address, and you are welcome to connect with me as well. So while we're waiting for any other questions, Rita, do you have any that you can think of for me too? Oh, you mentioned a list of resources. How again is it provided? Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop sharing for a moment to grab that link that I can then grab that for you. And I'll put that link also in the chat box. So if you're interested in some of those resources I shared, you're welcome to join my email list. You can unsubscribe at any time. Basically, you get an email once a week with that week's YouTube video and blog and podcast. Because I specialize in reaching the variety in our audience, I try to tap into those different multiple intelligences that Howard Gardner teaches us about, and have that variety of ways that we like to receive information and what lights us up. So that tip sheet you get automatically when you join the email list. You can you find out what's happening or different information, but you can email me questions. So that's how you get that. Also on my website are all the blogs and resources too. So I'll give you that link. And just so you know too, when you're putting links into chat boxes for Zoom, if you just type in the www, it won't show up as a link. So when you put it in with the HTTP, it will then show up as a link so people can click it. So that's another little tip. So I give a lot of tips and resources and information even through Instagram. And what I'll share too, if that is of interest, because I have a lot of videos on YouTube to help people with, you know, how to do things, and also sharing some of my journey as an entrepreneur as well. And I will put that link there too. Grab that link. So I have a couple workshops coming up, but I try to give great resources every week through blogs and YouTube videos. Are there other questions too? Sorry, Rita, you were going to say something or ask something.
Yeah, I was thinking, you know, it's my research area as well, but
Yes.
I'm interested to find out what you find the most engaging. Well, what engages people the most? Is that the variety, or are there particular things that you think really capture people to be engaged?
Great question. Yes, you know, we're always trying to engage our audience, and I do find visuals are really important. So that's pictures, videos, stories, and we all know this, but adding that variety makes a difference. Having some interactive components. So I like to, and I do find people, when they're seeing someone talking, not just hearing them and seeing the slides, being able to get on camera with everybody. When I run Zoom meeting workshops, I have breakout sessions, so we go into small groups. So it's tapping into that social learner, all those different multiple intelligences. I try to incorporate practical aspects of lighting up the experience for people that prefer that method. Okay. And we got some of that with the poll as well.
Yeah, just on the question and answer button, a question came in. What were your biggest challenges while taking your Master of Adult Education degree?
Great question. You know, balancing life, as you all know, when I was doing it, working full-time and going to school full-time, evenings and weekends were all school. So family time was a little bit different. And so it was a challenge to see people socially and, you know, manage that. What I did, I still have my textbooks, I reference them all the time, but so props are always good too when we're running, but I still have, what I would do before a class was set up that whole, I went through the curriculum list of expectations and put a tab for each week's reading and just got myself completely organized so I wouldn't feel as overwhelmed balancing all the different aspects of my life. So trying to be as organized, and then highlighters and notes, and just giving yourself the grace that you're doing the best you can. You're there to learn, and then use what you learn. So I hope that answered that. I enjoyed the poll, was insightful. Canvas feature box in the corner. Yes. Oh, thank you that you, thank you for that comment. That, and if that's okay, I'm gonna take a quick little picture of it. That I try to use Zoom in a way that maybe everybody isn't, and try to teach people how to do that, to create those learning experiences that aren't the typical webinars. And sometimes when we're trying new things, everything doesn't go perfectly, but we learn through it and continue to grow with our skills and what we can teach others. So thank you for that, that as well. What was your experience with group work during the degree program? That was fantastic. Actually, one of my group projects was learning about the multiple intelligences from Howard Gardner. And we each picked different MIs that we focused on to create what were tools we could use. So that really, I think that group project really spurred on my interest and enthusiasm for that, and wanting others who aren't necessarily going back to school to learn how to do that too, with everyday workplace training or community learning. The work group projects were such a great way. The cohort I still am in contact with people that I had group projects with, or that I went to Yorkville with. We're still, you know, connect online, or sometimes in person we get together too. So group work was a great opportunity. I know sometimes depending on who you're working with, it can be a challenge, but I think everybody, I didn't experience the type of challenge that I did in previous school experiences at Yorkville. People were there because they wanted to learn, and they learned more because of what they put into their learning experience. So great question. There are a lot of exams, or is it mostly group project grades? So for those of you that are watching and learning and asking questions because you haven't started the program yet, Rita, feel free to also jump in too. The next question, as you launched your business, were there technology learnings, trial and error, additional from the formal learning? Absolutely, I'll answer that too. But Rita, did you want to mention anything about expectations for the Master of Adult Education or Master of Education for exams?
People who are on the program already know that it's very much dialogue based. So we create a cohort with people, and sometimes people come in and go out of that cohort, but a group builds up, and we are trying to incorporate using more technologies, more videos, but at the basis of it all is working with people and communicating with your fellow classmates and your instructor about it, because it's at graduate level, so it's quite a bit theory based. So we have not that many places where there's group work, but most instructors will use Zoom now, for instance, perhaps not the way Patricia uses it, but it is used extensively. And well, you know, I use audios to give feedback rather than that I type it. So that is how the online environment works. What I personally find important is to create a sense of presence, and that's the presence of the students, but also the presence of the instructor. And there's a balance in that, you know. People don't want to spend too much time because they also have a private life and a working life. So there is a
Yes.
balance in
Yeah.
how much we want to get people engaged in that. But
Yeah.
to me, that is at the heart of our
Yeah.
program.
So to answer the questions too, I don't recall a lot of exams. It was more practical group work and papers, and the community and interacting with the forums. I learned a lot from that as well. For business technologies, trial and error, I've been using, so some of the tools that you saw through the PowerPoint were from Presenter Media, Powtoon, learning how to edit, film, and create videos, produce learning experiences with a variety of elements. So it's been ongoing learning, and it was sort of saturated in learning. So I was set up well because of going through a Master of Education in adult education, and we're lifelong learners. So being set up to thrive and love learning, I took on any opportunity to learn a new platform and figure it out in a way that I could then make it more accessible and easier for other people as well. Because there are a lot of videos and step-by-step, but sometimes people might get confused, and I want to put my approach as well. So beyond, I value the formal learning, but it was lifelong, you know, between learning business, marketing, and all the aspects, and then all the learning platforms that I use. And is there a difference between Bachelor of Adult Ed and the Master of Education? I refer to both because it was a Master of Education, that's the acronym, MED, but it was focused on adult education, which I valued a great deal. And I valued that it was beyond, it wasn't secondary, even academic university. It was focused on a variety of contexts that I could apply in a practical way to the workplace and to different contexts as well. And sometimes group work can be challenging. It does depend on who you're with. And sounds like to go into your YouTube and email newsletter, we can see what's possible for online learning and tech tools. Yes, I explore a variety, and Yorkville set me up for success. Everything that I learn, I continue to use and apply, and just, it was such a rich learning experience that I value a great deal. And the community and the interaction with the professors, it was different than any other university experience that I had come across. So we are going to want to wrap up before the hour in respect to everyone's time. I thank you for coming back in with the blip. For those of you that were able to jump back in, if you have further questions, you can email me, patricia@regiereducation.com, or let Yorkville know. They can contact me as well. And if there are certain videos you would like me to create on the YouTube channel about a certain topic that would help you, I welcome that too, to let me know. So whether in the chat box now, or you can let me know later, or in the comments on any of the social media platforms too. So thank you very much for inviting me, Erin and Rita, for hosting this and moderating, and it was such a great experience working with you. And there's more that I could share, but very nice to meet you, Janice. Thank you for saying it was a great presentation. There's more we could talk, but we want to respect everyone's time under the hour, and until another opportunity, thank you very much to everybody. And thank you, Rita. I don't know if you want to say anything else.
Thank you very much, Patricia. I think people have a great idea of, well, how you work with technology online, and I hope it inspires them to enliven their own learning environment. And anybody who has questions about Yorkville University, you can email me, no problem.
Yes, Yorkville University, the Master of Education, fantastic, totally worth checking out. And I find Yorkville does online learning differently. Like it was such an enriching experience for me. So it was a pleasure to speak to all of you. Thank you very much. And thank you to Yorkville. Erin and Rita. And until another time, I think we're going to be ending the meeting at this point.
Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Patricia.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.